Blow molds are in, and this gal sure gets them.
I got myself the giant refill size lemonade, so we're going to go get one of those to walk around the rest of the park with. Besides which, they look bored, so we'll give them their first work of the day. Well, here are a lot of Peterborough. These handmade baskets made in the USA were made by several companies in the 1980s and 90s. A lot of them are hitting thrift stores now, and some of them are starting to hit the secondary market and go up in value. A lot of these were pretty expensive when they were new. This one, for example, here, which still has the original tag, is priced at $30 at this sale. It's got the little heart-shaped finial, but here it's got the original tag with the folks who made it way, way back when. That's not how people dressed in the 1990s, by the way. And here's the background for Peterborough, going all the way back to 1854. So they had quite a tradition with these ash baskets, and $30 on that is actually a pretty good deal. This fellow has a fantastic collection of talking machines by a lot of different companies. These disc players were the earliest version of what we would think of as record players now. Stella is 1500 with 8 discs, and you need the disc because that's what they played. The holes would be interspersed, so they would pull those little wires, and the holes were interspersed, so as it went around, it would pluck and play the music where the holes appeared. This one is the Belle of New York. Look at that neat lithography there. 2200 with 10 discs. This one is called the Criterion. It's 2400 with 10 discs. He also has one of these rolling music machines. They would play multiple songs. In this case, this played 8 different songs. 2250. These are from about 1890. These were very expensive new too. The Zonophone, what a great green shade, 1400 on that. The disc gramophone with the big chrome shade, which you rarely see chrome, that's 1800. There's a Victor in the corner. The disc gramophone here by Columbia with the big arm. These are just fantastic.
And of course, the bigger disc plays longer on one play. It takes longer to go around the circle.
This fellow always has great stuff, and I see a couple of Weller pieces that are really fun. Look at this with the squirrels. That's sure unusual, from about 1910 or 15. And this little piece is Silver Springs pottery from Florida, similar to Namaji, where the coloration is on the outside, and they have a nice Silver Springs mark. It's $20. That's about right. The collectors are all here in Florida primarily. Now, lots of people see Georges Briard glass. You don't often see the bank. This is hard to find. The lion is from the 1960s. There's the Georges Briard mark. Really fun piece, $95. I have always liked this set. This is the fish set. Hazel Atlas also made sailboats, but this is really cool stuff. These were 1930s. The cobalt blue is becoming very popular again. This set is priced at $139. They've been around that price for a long time. I have a feeling they may be positioned to go up now. We see the horse clock with the cowboy a lot. We do not see it with the carriage very often. This one is $85, and in working order, that's about the right price for that. It's very, very schmaltzy. I love it. This feather hat is really something. These were popular in the 60s and 70s as well as in the 1940s when this one was made. This is a Patrice model, and this one is priced at $45. Finding the feather hats with all the feathers is the important part. This one even has little rhinestones. I had a viewer today come and say that the Gay Fad Company in Columbus, Ohio, their painted fruit line was what got her started collecting. You never know what it is that's going to trigger a memory. Lots of people are collecting Pyrex these days. It's nice to see all 4 of the refrigerator jars in the set together. Generally, you see these one piece at a time, but this was the original set, the big square one, the 2 little square ones, and the rectangular one. And then they've got the covered with the lid with the Amish butter print at $45 a piece back here. This set, I think they have it priced as the set, is $169. Now, my new neighbor this time, kitty corner for me, has some really neat things, some architectural things. This old base with the clock in it. You see the clocks for sale by themselves sometimes. This is Westinghouse, and this would have had a big roaster on top of it. The clock works on this one. $75 without. Pepsi Cola hits the spot. Hello there, how are you? Are you having fun? Is it going well? Good, me too. And they have this neat cottage. This is the Gamewell cottage. This one actually is Kingfisher, not Gamewell. Interesting, a different company that made these, but it is the classic cottage fire alarm, and it is priced at $200. And they also have this neat cupola with the weather vane on top of it. These are great additions to outbuildings or little antique shops. Sometimes we'll put them on because they're just cute. What is the price of the cupola? 200? That seems very reasonable for what it is with the weather vane and all. That's great. Looks like he's got a aluminum Christmas tree there. Yeah, someone just came back for something that they were not able to buy because it is already sold. This is Mikasa from the 80s, neat shape. These leather-covered decanters from Eastern Europe are an interesting form of folk art, and they date to the late 60s. They usually sell for about $25. This is really cool. Look at the space guy in his box. This is terrific. I'm going to be very gentle to not break those antennae. This is a 1960s piece from Japan, battery operated. There it is, the Craxton Flying Saucer. And look, jet smoke exhaust pipes. Who would not want that? I would have wanted this very much as a kid. $375 now, so the grown-up kid in you, well, you'll have to have a grown-up budget. I've shown the water bottle before. I have not shown the pencil case. This is Jayne Mansfield again. And these are from the 60s. And how does this work as a pencil case? Well, the top splits off right there in the best place. Very hard to find those. $95 seems like a right price to me, considering that the hot water bottle is well in the 3 digits. They also have a lot of English trios. Because the English have tea in the afternoon, a trio is where you have a cup and saucer and an underplate to match. And sets like this start at about $12.50, $15, depending on the maker, but they can be very, very expensive. Some Shelley trios can be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. The prices on these actually all seem very good. They seem like they're crown china from Staffordshire, I'm noticing, who did a lot of this sort of work in the 1970s. This hat is cute. Look at that almost paisley-like design on the top. A Jan Leslie custom design. That is actually a lot of fun. I'm sure it would wear well if you did it right. It's $15. This bubble hat is interesting to me as well. Well, NASCAR let someone sell scarves. This looks like 1970s looking at the cars. You can see with those pointed fronts, the Rebel 500, Darlington, South Carolina, with the Rebel flag. I'm imagining they don't make these quite like this anymore. Let's see what our price is, $6.50. That is just strange enough that might have to be a buy. Lots of purses. This looks like it could be a Whiting and Davis here. It says Made in USA, and yes, it does have the Whiting and Davis tag up in the corner. $18.50, that seems like a pretty good price. It's a rather plain frame, but still think there's room in that. This one with lots of rhinestones and one missing, darn it. Oh, that's too bad, because these road rhinestones that are sewn in, once they're missing, it's very hard to reattach one. And I see one perfume bottle in the back I think looks interesting. This was an atomizer. Unfortunately, it's missing this sprayer. It's Czechoslovakian glass, 1930s. It's a very pretty piece. You can sometimes get atomizers, but I don't know if we can get the attachment. Otherwise, I would buy this and give it a chance. It was originally $50, now only $8.50. I hope someone who knows what they're doing can come along and restore that one. Celebrate how wonderful Navy food was. I don't remember ever having a good meal at the Navy Exchange, but the dinnerware is cool with the anchors. And there are some older ones and some newer ones. This one with the Shenango back stamp is probably around 1960. This one that says USN, TEPCO, that's closer to World War II. I think this saucer is also a TEPCO earlier piece. Homer Laughlin did it in more recent years, so you'll see that back stamp as well. Now these are 1990s, but these are based on Roycroft design. That's why it has the logo there. And it's Buffalo China, which is in upstate New York, of course, very close to where the Roycroft studios were. And this stuff was collectible new and is collectible now. That's why you're seeing prices of $30 and $40 on plates.
We got them from the same house.
I wonder if this isn't a father and son. I mean, they look like they could be. I love the shape of the frames.
Yeah, me too. It's very different.
Yeah, they really are. It definitely could be. Looks, what do you think, 1930 vintage? With the shape of the frame and the suit and the wide tie.
Yeah, I know more about
and the backing. Yeah, I would say that's true.
fashion clothes yet.
Yeah, those are kind of interesting. No one ever used this. Blue Ribbon Quality Products from South Carolina put these out. The plastic walking dog. And you pull him and he chases that little ball. $68.50, never been used. Legos are big deals now. These are more recent sets, but boy, people are loving them. These little prints are really cool. They're Alexander Calder, is such a famous artist, and particularly sculptural work is what I think of. But there's the Calder name in the corner there. Priced at $125 each. Calder is very, very collectible. I like this Old English thermometer because of what it says in the margins. It's just a straightforward wooden one, 1920s or 30s, but if it's really hot, it's blood heat. If it gets to over 100. Summer heat, over 75, that's England for you. Temperate at 55. Freezing at 32. Well, that one we agree on. Once we get to after church time, then we really should have some customers. The weather is perfect, and it'll be time to be open and selling. But right now, I want to shop. And I'm going to show you some neat glass pieces. These folks are from Texas originally, and they always get really neat stuff. Look at the huge ruby Fenton basket. You do not see that size very often. Now, some of these pieces are more contemporary, but they're big and showy. They always have Fenton, but they always also have nice old early 1900s opalescent glass. There's a whole bunch of pieces here in various patterns that I find very likable. Oh, that's cool. So each piece is signed, and they're all steerheads.
It's got the big signature of a Smith, silver Smith.
Ah, interesting.
The one you can use with your eye.
Yeah, the loop, yeah.
600.
It's really interesting, actually. I mean, I haven't seen anything quite like it.
This one guy wants me to take these apart and sell them $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Maybe for a ring or something.
Yeah, or a pendant. I mean, I understand that, you know, this was the guy's original intent. Exactly.
I keep things original. I'm old-fashioned.
I agree with you. I wouldn't want to take it apart either, but it is really neat. And I could see where, yes, you could probably make those a pendant and get even more money, but you know what?
I don't like this.
Yeah, exactly. Honor the artist's original intention. That's neat.
And then it's marked here with some
it's
hallmarks,
got hallmarks in English sterling. Yeah, and it was made in London. Okay.
And it's got some type of mark next to it.
Yeah, a maker's hallmark of some sort. Oh, that's neat. And it's got the cleaning board, which is amazing. I mean, that is so detailed and all in sterling.
I try to look it up, but the only thing I can find is miniature, like coaches.
Yeah.
Horse-drawn carriages.
Exactly.
And stuff.
And every piece works too. It looks like the flintlock, the trigger pulls back, and that is just amazing. Wow, how neat. So 300, that seems like an amazing amount of work to do for a miniature. Yeah. Very cool. These are also sterling miniatures. Wow.
Navajo silversmith with the turquoise.
Oh, they have little turquoise finials?
I'm going $100.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, that's a great little set for someone who collects miniatures. Because again, it's all done in sterling, so it's not that it's a lot of silver weight. It's more about someone
and I think
did all of this
with the turquoise. It's like a 1900s.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's early 1900s from the shapes of everything. Oh, that's really cool.
$100.
Well, the chenilles are really well priced, but they all need a little bit more work than I can do on them, unfortunately. Straw purses. I keep hearing that people are starting to collect these again. You see them at estate sales. People would buy them on vacation to Mexico or the Bahamas.
Show office at Gate 2 is open for your renewals for the November show. Once again, the Gate 2 show office is open till 12 for your renewals for the November show. Once again, 7 to 12, Gate 2 renewal. Thank you.
Well, we already have made our renewal. We'll be back in November. My friends Rodney and Rhonda from St. Pete love bringing in Florentine. Look at that neat screen. And they also have a really good desk over here. I'm going to pull in so we can take a look at that. You really don't see the desks too often. And it's a nice little kidney-shaped one. Very, very cute. And she's actually got a lot of smalls. And I wanted to pick this up because this looks like a bunny, but it sure reminds me of those bluebirds of happiness. This is actually Scandinavian import from New York around the same era. I think that guy's really cute, actually. He does a lot of Scandinavian and particularly Swedish stuff in her booth as well. Nice little grouping of Bestwick figurines. We don't see too many of these. These are the Royal Albert. The earlier one will say Bestwick specifically. So this is a shooting gallery from the 1930s, and it's got late 30s. Yep, improve your shooting. There you go. So you would stand off at a distance, and I guess the jailbird was unsuccessful with his shooting. I'm not sure what that means, but you are actually shooting at this guy who, is he escaping? He runs around in a circle here, and if you manage to aim it right in that clear spot, he'll stop. That's really fun. I've never seen this particular device before. It had to be from some old arcade, and yeah, it definitely looks late 30s. It's very deco looking, yeah. That is really cool. I've never seen that before. Could go home for $3,000, I understand. And if I had a big arcade room like the fellow that we visited in the other part of the state, well, I'd probably want that. And then my friend has some really cool stuff in his space. Who is the maker of the lamps? Tom Green for Feldman Lighting. Yeah, these are very collectible. There's a table lamp here. I've seen hanging lamps, and they were big in the 1960s. What does that sell for these days? He would sell for $800, and I've seen it higher on a number of websites. So, yeah, that's a very wonderful piece. Hanovaware is something I really like, and these little spots that look like they're unfinished, that's deliberate. This is enamelware done in the 60s. I like the blue color. You don't see it much. If you're trying to figure out the context for these, if you watch an old episode of that 70s show, you'll see Hanover pieces hanging. They're hanging candle holders that were attached to the ceilings back then. Well, these are interesting and something that actually are pretty collectible and known outside the United States as well, because they are Esmaltes Garcia, who did this enameling again in the 1970s during the heyday of enamel work. I like the nubbiness. The texture is interesting. They have a little more shape than a lot of the rather austere and plain shapes we see in American enamelware of the same time. After Sasha Brastoff stopped running his own studio, he did design for other people as well. And this cat figure is a really neat piece of his by ABP Porcelain. It has both of their marks on the back. He was the designer. That's an unusual piece. We don't really see these often. They didn't make them for a very long time. It was 1970s era. Do you mind me asking how much that piece is? 300, yeah. Yeah, it's one of his harder to find pieces, and that makes sense to me.
Susan's sister presented us with a puzzle that we had to figure out, and I was able to give them a lead, but I didn't know the answer. Let's find out, because the answer is with us now. Ooh, that's what that looks like
this
all
is
together.
A 1970 Morgantown Glassware catalog. That's all of these pages.
And it was produced under Fostoria ownership. Oh, I feel better, because when your sister asked me about these, I did not know for sure that they were Morgantown, and I told her maybe Fostoria, so that makes sense. Old collector's reference books are so awesome, because you don't have to go through 50 million web pages to find it.
That page didn't say it, but they're called hang-ups. Because they were literally...
You could hang them on those hanging things that people started to make in the 70s for their glassware. How cool.
Front left is the Bloody Mary, which is what they are. And then the picture had the muddler, too, so that's cool. But this one we don't have. It's a snack bowl, and that one's on the rocks.
Wow. How cool. What a fun set. So here's what we're talking about in the box here. Really neat. I think this is such a great, interesting pattern, and there you go. So it would hang like that under your counter. So glad you found out. I think they're really great. It makes me want them. And you've got $250 on the set. That actually seems pretty good, because this is...
The book in '98 said $55 a glass.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I believe it back then.
Course,
and, you know...
Of course, that's useless for today's values.
Yeah, but at the same time, you know, modernism is so popular. I think that's a great price.
All right, we're going to head into the pavilion. On my way back to open my booth. I am going to have to get open soon, but just wanted to look at a few more. I like these little Japanese coasters. You see similar from Europe as well, but they say they're Japanese. They're glass with the nice painted seam. That's a really fun set, actually, with the tray and 6 coasters. She also has just about the only swung vase I've seen in the show, priced at $250, and that's what they're selling for these days. My friends here are really into modernism, and they get some really cool stuff. We're going to see what they have left. The first thing I go right to, because I think a fat bird finds when I see a happy elephant. That is a happy elephant from the 1930s. I believe these are German. Only $14. That is so cute for that price. 1930s. Oh, I think I have to buy that. I like the musical lamps with the fiberglass shades. Wall sconces, those are neat. Little Panther TV lamp for $59. I haven't seen this variety before with that little piece in the middle. A double Panther lamp. This is definitely something I haven't seen, and they look like they're fighting. This is unusual. They say they have a lot of this in their house too. That one is priced at $165. That's got to be very scarce. In all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen this piece before, and I look at these every time I see them. And here is a doctor's bag you don't usually see. This one is made out of alligator. That is different. We usually just see regular leather. How much would that run?
I've got 700.
700?
More than half.
Oh yeah, I know they're more valuable.
On this one side.
Oh, I see, just a little bit of...
and it's where the leather popped up.
As hard to find as they are. I mean, that would be worth repairing or just enjoying it the way it is.
Yeah, which I'm going to get it repaired.
And this drum is really neat. This is Civil War era, isn't it?
It is. It's not even Civil War era. It's a Civil War drum.
It is literally a Civil War drum. I see the marks on it. So this was used in some sort of infantry or?
Well, the battlefield. It was used on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And the kids. This one was in a collection. It's the same.
Oh yeah, same manufacturer, same details.
Shape,
yeah, this is fantastic.
But
Let me
I
try
don't
that
think
again.
It's Confederate. Now it could have been Confederate, but there's no way to.
There's no way to tell because both sides had access to the same thing. New York maker.
Made in New York. This is the original skin.
Yes, that's neat that it still has that. I mean, of course, it's damaged with age, but.
And this is the catgut that they use for the snare.
Oh yes, and then inside there is the label.
That's the real label.
Which is, it's actually nice we can see in there and see that.
Yeah.
Wow, very interesting piece.
Well, the holes, what they did was, this hole wasn't for air, but if you look in that hole, straight across, you'll see the label, and that's what they did.
And what would something like that run in that condition?
In that condition, they'll run about 1,200.
1,200, yeah.
I'm putting 800 on.
That's a fantastic piece.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice. I've been trying to find some more unusual things that we don't usually see, and that is right up there.
Apache water jug.
Oh, yes, that's right. And what would they seal those?
It's the pinyon pine.
Oh, it's pinyon pine and pitch. Okay, that's what they would do to seal it off so that they could carry water.
This is probably from around 1860.
Yeah, that's an early, we made this to use one, and you can tell the difference. They're not trying to decorate it or make it fancy for a tourist. That's a neat piece.
Water jug. That's probably from 1910.
Yeah, that seems early as well. That's very, very neat looking. You definitely have some interesting things. Thank you for sharing those with us. And the last thing I've got to show is Florida Punch, because here we are in green. That's got to be a 1920s drink. I've never heard of Florida Punch. I'm sure it was delicious.
That company is a very well-known company. They made a lot of beautiful dispensers.
Which company made that?
It's right there. See the name?
Oh, I see. Out of Boston, Laggots. Okay. So that's the maker of the dispenser. Very cool. Michael slaying the devil carved in wood, and this is French. How in the world did you get this? Wow. Look at that. It's so dramatic.
It was sent over here on a container ship, and it was in a shop down in West Palm.
Found it in West Palm. Wow. I can't imagine that there's more of these. My goodness. And do you mind me asking what something like that would sell for? These things are so unique. I don't know how to judge them.
2,600 because of what it is.
2,600, yeah. Oh, it's just fantastic. Somebody who likes religious iconography or any number of reasons, actually. The detail, considering what they had to use at that time for tools, it's amazing.
Well, you see on him, you'll see all the scrape marks. That's the file mark.
Yes, you can see.
I've never seen that, but that's the file mark.
And what's great about it is they go all different directions. I mean, obviously this is old, but if you were not sure, that's a good way to tell, because in the old days, they just riffled it any direction they could get the wood to carve. Nowadays, we have machines and they all go one direction. Very cool. Thank you so much. This is a really fun booth. Franciscan's Coronado pattern was one of their big early successes. This has an unusual RK mark over it. Usually they just say made in USA or have an F or the arched Franciscan mark. Cute little set. $68.50 is a good price. There was a time that just the coffee pot would have sold for over $100. This is cool from Sweden. We don't see a lot of Swedish enamel. Some pretty cool tip trays here. Hotel in Mexico, the Coca-Cola girl, of course, very famous. But I like this one here because I think that's a great pre-prohibition label. All right. Well, Mr. Dave Dent, my friend, has some pretty cool things again this time, and there's something he's going to show us here. I like this rice sewing silk. That's a neat little piece. But here is a really cool till. So what kind of a till is this?
This is a cash register till, okay, by mid-1800s.
Uh-huh.
And if somebody comes, let's say, to buy a candy bar and it's 5 cents.
Right.
You take the little steel balls and you put it in there. Okay, and then the 5 cent.
Oh, the 5 cent pops up.
Here and on the back also, so the person buying can see what it does.
Oh, interesting. And they use little balls instead of just regular old...
Little ball bearing things. Yeah. Early. And then there's a
so it's kind of like an abacus, really. It just adds up, and then you've got your numbers to tell you how much it was. Huh.
Well, and how much you sold for the day.
Ah.
But when you go to put the money in, this has a combination under the handle.
Uh-huh.
And you do that. And the ball, this flag goes down, the ball comes down in the 5 cent, and then at the end of the day, you total up how much you sold.
Oh, so that was their way to make sure that no sticky fingers in the till, because they could see right away how much was supposed to be in there.
The money, and then you close that.
Oh, that's really smart. That was before they actually had the bell that rang to let you know that the till had been open, which was also a security device to make sure that the staff weren't stealing. That is really interesting. What era is that? Is that 1870s, 80s?
Yeah, 1860s, 70s. Yeah.
Wow, neat. I've never seen one of those before.
And I think it's by Simplex, which made the time clock.
Right, yeah, Simplex. I've had Simplex time clocks. That is really cool.
But we've never seen one before. We've sent it to people who have done the Chicago coin-op show for years.
Uh-huh.
And they've never seen one, don't know.
Wow, so interesting. So how do you price something when no one has seen it?
Yeah, I'm right.
That's really great. Now, I thought my gum machine was cool, but this is a generation older. This is really neat. It's a peanut machine. You'll like them. Delicious fresh salted peanuts, 1 cent. But look at that great Art Deco base and the color. That's really neat.
Unusual color.
Unusual color, yeah, I thought it would be. What does that run?
$6.50, is that what you're asking for that? Dan?
Yeah.
Blue.
Yeah.
It's a rare.
Very hard to find color, yeah, early 30s. He's also got the Mr. Peanut lamp. It's the bank mounted as a lamp. You really don't see that practically ever. And this is really neat, this wooden ship model, but it's on a base, and the base is actually integral. And it makes it look like it's actually sailing through the waves. That's something really different. I haven't seen one done like that before. This looks like it would have been done in the early 1900s. Oh, that's interesting. So it's actually known what ship this is. That makes a big difference. Yep, 3-master. And it says it was signed Swansville, Massachusetts, the 3-masted schooner, and they figure actually closer to about 1890. And I see now these waves are actually canvas, aren't they? That's really clever. No, I haven't either. That's what was interesting. We see lots of ship models. There it is, the name of the ship, the Three Sisters.
And then it's on the back as well.
Wow, that is really intricate and really interesting.
Piece, I just love that. I think it had a big piece of glass.
It probably had a glass dome at one time, which you could replace, but it's just so neat looking the way it is. Well, this has just been so much fun. I just want to keep going and show you more and more, but I have to get open because it's Sunday and it's our last chance to sell. And I just bought a whole bunch of stuff and I got to get it out to sell. Thank you so much for coming and having fun with me. If you get to Florida, we have Mount Dora extravaganzas every November, January, and February. I've already signed up for November, so we'll see you here again.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.